Good morning, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Raquel Lebre, and I'm here representing IMPACTsci, a neurodivergent-led social enterprise working in inclusive education and innovation. Today, I would like to share with you a reflection on the relationship between neurodiversity, social entrepreneurship, and international cooperation through the case of IMPACTsci and several European projects in which we are involved. The main argument of this presentation is simple. Neurodiversity should not be seen only as a challenge for inclusion. It should also be understood as a source of innovation, and social entrepreneurship can play an important role in translating that potential into international education projects. So our presentation, the title is From Neurodiversity to Innovation, the IMPACTsci case on how social entrepreneurship shapes international education projects. We are operating in a context marked by a complex and interconnected challenge. Education systems are under pressure to become more inclusive. Labor markets are changing rapidly. Public institutions and organizations are expected to respond to diversity more effectively. At the same time, international cooperation increasingly demands innovation with social relevance. In this context, entrepreneurship is also changing. It is no longer understood only in relation to business creation or profit generation. It is increasingly linked to the ability to respond to social needs, redesign systems, and generate public value. This is where social entrepreneurship becomes particularly relevant. It allows organizations to work at the intersection of innovation, mission, and implementation. For us, this is the right lens through which to understand inclusion in education. If we look specifically at neurodiversity, we can see a clear paradox. On one hand, neurodivergent people remain underrepresented and unserved in many education, training, and employment systems. Learning models are often standardized. Support is limited. Access is inconsistent. Many environments still assume one dominant way of learning, communicating, or participating. On the other hand, neurodiversity brings something extremely valuable. It brings different cognitive profiles, alternative perspectives, and new approach to problem solving. So the issue is not only that neurodivergent people are excluded. The issue is also that institutions are missing an important opportunity for innovation. This is why neurodiversity should be framed not only as a socially inclusive issue, but also as an innovation frontier. And this is exactly where social entrepreneurship becomes useful. Social entrepreneurship is not only about having a good mission. It is about designing practical, scalable, and social relevant response to unmet needs. In education, this can mean creating new methodologies, testing new learning formats, building accessible tools, and combining academic knowledge with lived experience. It also means building solutions that are not abstract. They are applied, collaborative, and designed for implementation. At IMPACTsci, we see inclusive education as a field where entrepreneurial logic can generate real transformation. It is possible to develop solutions that are pedagogically strong, scientifically informed, and socially responsive at the same time. So our case, so the IMPACTsci case. IMPACTsci IMPACTsci was founded in 2022 with the mission of developing innovative and inclusive educational methodologies and tools for neurodivergent learners. What makes our organization distinctive is that we are led and powered by neurodivergent professionals and advisors. This is important because it means that our work is not only about neurodivergent people, it is also shaped by neurodivergent expertise and lived experience. Our approach is informed by neuroscience, cognitive science, participatory design, and close collaboration with neurodivergent communities. And in practical terms, we work across inclusive education, digital learning, training, advocacy, and project development. What we try to do is cover a combination of research, lived experience, and implementation capacity into solutions that are useful in real project environments. International cooperation is central to our model. IMPACTsci works through a wide network of partnerships that include universities, NGOs, self-advocacy organizations, training providers, public institutions, and private sector actors. We are connected to broader European and international ecosystems through organizations such as the European Council of Autistic People, the Institute of Neurodiversity, the Pact of Skills, the European Digital Education Hub, and the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. These partnerships matter for several reasons. They increase credibility, they allow co-creation, they make it possible to adapt ideas to different contexts, and they create opportunities for scaling methodologies and impact. For a small social enterprise, international cooperation is not secondary. It is a growth strategy, an innovation strategy, and a legitimacy strategy. From our perspective, international projects are much more than funding instruments. They are innovation platforms. They create structured environments where new methodologies can be tested, digital tools can be developed, and collaboration can happen across sectors and countries. For a social enterprise like IMPACTsci, projects create the conditions to experiment, refine, validate, and transfer solutions. They also connect mission with implementation. They force ideas to become concrete outputs, concrete partnerships, and concrete forms of delivery. In that sense, European projects are part of the entrepreneurial infrastructure of social innovation. I'd like now to briefly illustrate this through 4 projects. The first example is Activate. This project focuses on autistic youth empowerment and self-advocacy. Within Activate, IMPACTsci leads the development of the Autistic Advocacy School, which is an online learning platform specifically designed for autistic learners. The aim is not only to provide information, it is to build advocacy skills, support awareness of rights, and strengthen participation. It is interesting here, what is interesting here from an entrepreneurship perspective is that the project combines educational design, digital learning, and social mission in a very concrete way. It also shows the value of designing with autistic people in mind from the beginning, instead of adapting general tools later. So Activate, it's not only a project about inclusion, it is also an example of product and methodology innovation shaped by a neurodivergent-led organization. The second example is Shift. Shift focuses on environmental, social, and governance principles in higher education institutions. In this project, IMPACTsci leads the development of a serious game and contributes to the project's social dimension, especially in relation to inclusion, equity, access, and well-being. This project is relevant because it places inclusion inside the mainstream higher education innovation agenda. It also demonstrates how digital education tools, such as serious games, can be used not only for engagement, but also for social and institutional transformation. From an entrepreneurial point of view, it shows how a social enterprise can contribute specialized expertise and strengthens both the pedagogical and social relevance of a large international project. The third example is Wellify. This project focuses on vocational education and training in the welding sector, with particular attention to inclusion and diversity. At first glance, this may not seem like the most obvious space for inclusion innovation, but that is exactly why it is important. IMPACTsci contributes expertise in accessibility, inclusive design, and neurodivergent-informed methodologies, helping ensure that training environments in technical sectors become more equitable and accessible. This project shows that social entrepreneurship can have relevance far behind traditional social sectors. Inclusion expertise can also create value in industrial, technical, and vocational fields. Thus, transferability is one of the strengths of our model. The fourth example is Team Forward. This project is particularly relevant in context of this conference because it connects inclusion with STEAM education, future skills, and innovation ecosystems. IMPACTsci contributes its expertise in inclusive educational design, accessible learning experience, and neurodivergent-informed methodologies. STEAM education is often linked to innovation, entrepreneurship, and competitiveness. However, if it is not inclusive, it risks reproducing exclusion in various sectors that are supposed to shape the future. So this project is important because it makes a very simple point. Future-oriented education must also be inclusive education. For us, that is also an entrepreneurial issue, because innovation ecosystems are stronger when they are designed to include diverse talents and diverse ways of thinking. To conclude, I will highlight four main lessons for the IMPACTsci. First, neurodiversity can function as a driver of educational innovation. It challenges standard assumptions and opens space for better design. Second, social entrepreneurship can shape international education projects in meaningful ways, not only through values but through concrete methodological, pedagogical, and implementation contributions. Third, international cooperation is stronger when inclusion is built into project design from the beginning, rather than treated as an add-on. And finally, strong partnerships are built through a combination of expertise, shared values, and delivery capacity. So my final message is this: inclusive project design is not only socially necessary, it is also a strategic pathway to stronger innovation in international education projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raquel, for your presentation. Thank you that you share your experience. It's positive for future collaboration for all universities who want to create some new ideas and get or start new project. it will be useful for this for all of us, and I hope we will use this information in future for collaboration. And also I remind you, please prepare your questions for Raquel to a future session question answer. Don't forget. Okay, thank you.